I used to think the worst moment of my life was getting dumped via text by my ex. But turns out, hearing the CEO's voice crack through the Zoom call with, "This isn't going to be easy to hear," right when I thought I was getting promoted, that's what actually killed whatever faith I had left in people. In corporate America, they don't just stab you in the back. They schedule a meeting for it, send you a calendar invite, and ask you to prepare a presentation for your own execution. My name is Ava Lockwood. And until 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, I believed hard work actually meant something. 34 years old, senior strategic consultant at VentureWave, one of Austin's hottest marketing tech firms, the kind of place with exposed brick walls, kombucha on tap, and motivational quotes painted in millennial pink across the break room. Hustle harder. Disrupt everything. Your vibe attracts your tribe. God, I should have known. I'd been with the company for 3 years, grinding through 60-hour weeks while watching less talented people get promoted because they knew how to play golf with the C-suite or laugh at the CEO's terrible jokes. Me, I let my numbers do the talking. $8 million in revenue generated in 9 months. 27 new enterprise clients landed. A 340% ROI on every campaign I touched. The spreadsheets didn't lie, even if everyone else did. That morning, I dressed carefully for my promotion call. Navy blazer, the good pearls my grandmother left me, hair pulled back in what I called my serious business bun. My laptop was positioned perfectly, ring light on, background tastefully blurred. I'd even practiced my surprised but grateful face in the mirror, though we all knew this promotion was just a formality. The Senior Director of Regional Strategy position had been created specifically for me, at least. That's what my manager had hinted at during our last one-on-one. The meeting invite had been suspiciously vague. Strategic discussion, Ava. But in corporate speak, that usually meant good news they wanted to keep under wraps. I'd seen the same cryptic invites sent to colleagues before their big announcements. Plus, HR was on the call. Hannah from Human Resources, with her perpetual smile and color-coded filing system. They only brought HR for the official stuff, promotions, equity grants, the things that required paperwork and signatures. I logged in 2 minutes early, adjusting my camera one last time. The waiting room message stared back at me. The host will let you in soon. My coffee sat untouched, too nervous to risk spilling anything on my blazer. I'd already texted my mom that morning, telling her to expect good news. She'd sent back a string of champagne emojis and, "That's my girl." When the screen finally flickered to life, I saw 3 faces instead of the expected 2. Marcus Chen, our CEO, looking uncharacteristically somber. Hannah, clutching a folder and avoiding eye contact. And then there was Melissa Quinn, my colleague from the New York office, wearing the kind of smile that should have set off every alarm bell in my head. "Hi, Ava," Marcus began, and something in his tone made my stomach drop. "Thanks for joining us this morning." "Of course," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "I'm excited to discuss the strategic direction for the Southwest region." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Melissa's smile widened. Hannah opened her folder. "Well," Marcus said, "that's actually what we need to talk about. This isn't going to be easy to hear. Ava." The words hung in the digital space between us, and I knew. In that moment, before he even finished the sentence, I knew I'd been played. The presentation I'd submitted 2 weeks ago, my comprehensive strategy for expanding into new markets, complete with financial projections and implementation timelines, flashed through my mind. The same presentation Melissa had asked to review for alignment purposes. "We've decided to take the company in a different direction," Marcus continued, his eyes focused somewhere just past the camera. "And unfortunately, that means we'll be eliminating your position, effective immediately." The rest of the call blurred together. Words like severance package and transition period and not a reflection of your performance floated past me. Melissa chimed in about how she'd be taking over my clients to ensure continuity. Hannah robotically read through the termination terms. 2 weeks severance, Cobra information would be emailed, company property to be returned. Access to systems would be terminated at midnight. I don't understand, I finally managed. Last quarter, I brought in. This isn't about numbers. Marcus cut me off. It's about cultural fit. The leadership team feels that your approach isn't aligned with where VentureWave is heading. My approach, the one that had saved 3 major accounts from walking, the one that had turned our worst performing sector into a profit center. That approach. I see, I said, my voice surprisingly calm. And when was this decision made? These things are always difficult. Marcus deflected. But I'm confident you'll land on your feet. You're very capable. Capable. Not brilliant, not invaluable. Capable. As I stared at their faces on the screen, Marcus's false sympathy, Hannah's bureaucratic indifference, Melissa's barely contained glee, I realized this had been orchestrated long before today. Every late night I'd stayed to perfect a presentation. Every weekend I'd sacrificed to save a client relationship. Every innovative idea I'd shared in good faith. It had all led to this moment. To Melissa sitting in on my termination call, ready to swoop in and claim everything I'd built. Is there anything else? I asked, finger hovering over the leave button. Just remember the NDA you signed? Hannah piped up. And we'll need your laptop and phone returned by. I clicked leave. The screen went black, reflecting my face back at me. Still wearing the pearls, still in the serious business bun, still the same person who'd believed that merit mattered more than politics. My phone buzzed, a text from my mom. So, how did it go? I stared at the message, then at my company phone lying next to my laptop. Both still logged in, still connected, still mine for exactly 14 hours and 13 minutes. That's when I noticed something else. My email was open in another tab. And there it was. A forwarded message from 2 weeks ago. Melissa had sent my entire strategic presentation to Marcus with a note. Some interesting ideas here. I've refined them for the board meeting. Let's discuss restructuring once it's approved. My presentation, her refinements, their restructuring. I closed my eyes, took a breath, and when I opened them again, something had shifted. They'd fired me during my promotion call. They'd stolen my work, my ideas, my future. They'd played by their rules and expected me to quietly disappear. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd given me until midnight. The trembling started in my hands first, then my shoulders. By the time I made it to the kitchen, my whole body was shaking with rage so pure it felt like electricity running through my veins. I grabbed the bottle of Macallan I'd been saving for my promotion celebration, how's that for irony, and poured 3 fingers straight. The burn down my throat was nothing compared to the fire in my chest. This isn't going to be easy to hear. Ava. Marcus's words played on repeat as I slumped against the counter. Cultural fit, after 3 years of being told I needed to be more collaborative, more strategic, more innovative, and then becoming all those things. It still wasn't enough. Because cultural fit wasn't about culture at all. It was about being willing to kiss the ring, laugh at the right jokes, pretend Melissa's mediocre ideas were genius. I pulled up LinkedIn on my personal laptop, my fingers moving on autopilot. There it was, posted just an hour ago. Melissa Quinn. Thrilled to announce I'll be leading strategic expansion for VentureWave's Southwest region. Excited to implement my comprehensive market penetration strategy. Leadership, innovation, growth mindset. My comprehensive market penetration strategy. The one I'd spent 2 months developing. The one with my financial models, my client analyses, my implementation timeline. She hadn't even bothered to change the title. The rage crystallized into something colder, sharper. I screenshots the post, then navigated to the company's shared drive. Still had access. Of course I did. It wouldn't get around to revoking permissions until midnight, just like Hannah had said. Bureaucracy at its finest. There it was in the executive folder. Southwest Expansion Strategy. M. Quinn? I opened it. My work stared back at me. With Melissa's name plastered across every slide. She'd changed the font, added her headshot to the cover page, but the substance? Every chart, every projection, every innovative approach, mine. I took another sip of whiskey and really looked at what she'd done. She'd presented this to the board 2 weeks ago. The same week Marcus had started acting strange in our one-on-ones. The same week my promotion call kept getting rescheduled. They'd already decided. They'd used my brain, extracted everything valuable, then discarded the inconvenient package it came in. My phone, my personal one, buzzed. A text from James Martinez, CEO of Nexus Communications, our biggest client. Hey Ava, tried to reach you on your work cell. Everything okay? We need to discuss the Q3 campaign ASAP. I stared at the message. James and I had built Nexus from a $500K account to a $3. 2 million powerhouse. He didn't trust anyone else at VentureWave, didn't want to work with anyone else. He'd said as much in last quarter's review. That's when it hit me. They could take my title. They could steal my strategies. They could even gaslight me about cultural fit, but they couldn't take the relationships I'd built. Not if I got there first. I opened my work phone and scrolled through my contacts. 6 years of relationship building, 6 years of trust, proven results, and genuine connections. David at Pinnacle Tech, who only agreed to sign with VentureWave because I promised to personally manage his account. Sarah at Bloom Cosmetics, who called me directly whenever she needed anything because the other account managers just don't get it. Chen at Fusion Dynamics. No, wait, scratch that. His name was Zhang, who'd literally told Marcus last month that if I ever left the company, he'd follow. My hands had stopped shaking. The whiskey sat forgotten on the counter. I pulled up my work email and started documenting everything. Every email where a client specifically requested me. Every message praising my work. Every contract renewal that hinged on my involvement. The evidence was overwhelming. Then I found it. Buried in a thread from last week, an email from VentureWave's CFO to Marcus, accidentally CC'd to the entire leadership team before being recalled, but not before it hit my inbox. If we transition Ava out and move her clients to Melissa, we can increase margins by 15% through the proposed restructuring. The clients are locked into contracts anyway. Locked into contracts. That's what they thought. That's where they were wrong. I knew something they didn't. Something that only someone who actually read every line of every contract would know. The enterprise agreements I'd negotiated for our 6 biggest clients all had the same clause. One I'd insisted on to protect them from account manager turnover. Client reserves the right to terminate without penalty should the primary account representative be changed without client consultation and consent. They thought they were so clever. Take my work, eliminate my position, save some money, keep the revenue. Except they'd forgotten one crucial detail. Those contracts were with VentureWave, but the relationships were with me. I looked at the clock. 10:34 a.m., 13 hours and 26 minutes until midnight. Until my access was gone. Until I officially became another casualty of corporate politics. But also, 13 hours and 26 minutes to remind 6 clients who really had their backs, who really understood their needs, who really drove their success. I opened a new document on my personal laptop, not a resignation letter, they'd already taken care of that. Not a manifesto or a bridge-burning email to all staff. No, this was something better. A business plan. Lock strategic consulting. Simple, direct. Mine. The next message from James popped up. Seriously, Ava, I need you to call me. This Melissa person just sent me some ridiculous proposal that completely misses what we discussed. What's going on over there? I smiled, the first real smile since 9:47 a.m. They wanted to play corporate games? Fine. But they'd forgotten the most important rule: never fire someone who knows where all the bodies are buried, and definitely never give them until midnight to dig them up. I picked up my personal phone and scrolled to James's number. 13 hours and 24 minutes to go. Time to remind everyone who really ran this game. The whiskey burned a path to my stomach as I stared at my reflection in the black laptop screen. Mascara slightly smudged. Hair still in that stupid bun. The pearls, my grandmother's pearls, mocking me from around my neck. She'd warned them to her first day at the bank in 1962, when women couldn't even have their own checking accounts. "Never let them see you sweat, Ava," she used to say. "But never let them forget you can make them sweat, either." I unclasped the pearls and set them gently on the counter, pulled the pins from my hair, letting it fall around my shoulders. This wasn't about looking professional anymore. This was war. By noon, I'd cried exactly twice. Once when I realized I'd have to text my mom back with something other than champagne emojis. Once when I found the email I'd sent Marcus 6 months ago, outlining every single strategy Melissa was now claiming as her own. With the subject line, "Confidential, Southwest Expansion Thoughts." He'd replied, "Brilliant work, Ava. This is why you're invaluable to the team." Invaluable. Right. But tears were just salt water, and I'd wasted enough of those on people who saw me as a resource to be strip-mined. I wiped my face, poured another drink, and opened a spreadsheet. Not for VentureWave. For me. 6 clients. 6 relationships that generated 73% of my division's revenue. 6 contracts with that beautiful termination clause. I knew their kids' names, their coffee orders, their biggest fears about digital transformation. Melissa knew their billing addresses. The anger had evolved into something more useful. Cold, calculated fury. The kind that makes you think 3 steps ahead instead of burning everything down in the moment. I started mapping it out. James Martinez. Nexus Communications. 3.2 Menton annual contract. Renewal in 2 months. Sarah Williams. Bloom Cosmetics. 2.8 Minter annual contract. Mid-cycle but struggling with current campaign, David Park. Pinnacle Tech. 2.1 Min annual contract. Already unhappy with recent agency changes, Rita Johal. Fusion Dynamics. 1.9 Meters annual contract. Personal friend, godmother to her daughter, Michael Torres. Apex Retail. 1.7 meters annual contract. Only stayed because I promised to handle personally Linda Chang. Quantum Health. 1.5 meters annual contract. About to launch major initiative. Total. $13.2 million in annual revenue. My revenue. My relationships. My blood. Sweat. And 60-hour weeks. I pulled up the termination clause again, reading it like poetry. Client reserves the right to terminate without penalty should the primary account representative be changed without client consultation and consent. I'd fought for that clause. Marcus had called it unnecessary. The legal team said it was irregular. But I'd insisted, arguing it protected client interests and showed our commitment to continuity. Really, I'd just seen too many good AMs get screwed over to not build in protection. I never thought I'd be the one needing it. My personal phone buzzed. 3 more texts from clients, all variations of, "Who is this Melissa person and why is she emailing me?" The clock read 2:17 p.m. 10 hours and 43 minutes left. I closed my eyes and made a decision. Not whether to do it, that was decided the moment Melissa smiled during my termination. But how to do it. How to be surgical instead of sloppy. How to be everything they said I wasn't: strategic, collaborative, aligned with my values. My values, not theirs. I started with research. LinkedIn, Google, the Texas Secretary of State website. Forming an LLC in Texas could be done online in minutes. Lock Strategic Consulting, LLC, simple, clean. Registered to my apartment address. Filed at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon while VentureWave's leadership was probably congratulating themselves on a smooth transition. Next, I pulled up my personal email and drafted a message. Not to clients, not yet. To myself. A paper trail. Personal notes on client relationship strategies. Time-stamped, detailed. Everything I knew about each account that wasn't in any VentureWave database. Because here's what Melissa didn't understand. You can steal someone's slides, but you can't steal their instincts. You can take their title, but not their trust. By 4 p.m., I'd accomplished more than I had in weeks at VentureWave. Business registered, Website domain purchased. Basic landing page live. Bank account application submitted. Everything above board. Everything legal. Everything mine. The whiskey was gone, replaced by cold brew and determination. My apartment looked like a war room. Laptop on the coffee table, legal pad covered in notes, phone charging while I mapped out the conversations I'd need to have. 6 conversations. 6 chances to tell the truth. 6 opportunities to let clients decide who they really wanted to work with. I wasn't stealing them. That's what VentureWave had done. Stolen my ideas, my future, my faith in the system. I was simply giving these clients a choice. A chance to continue working with the person who'd actually delivered their results versus someone who couldn't even be bothered to change the font on plagiarized work. Another text. This time from Rita. Ava. What's happening? This Melissa person just scheduled a call but referenced your strategy doc. I'm confused. I stared at the message, then at the clock. 4:23 p.m. 8 hours and 37 minutes until midnight. Until they thought they'd won. I picked up my phone, my personal phone, purchased with my own money, containing contacts I'd earned through my own work, and scrolled to James Martinez's number. My finger hovered over the call button. They'd fired me during my promotion call, stolen my work, dismissed 3 years of excellence as a cultural misfit. They'd played their game by their rules and expected me to slink away quietly. But they'd forgotten something crucial. In chess, the queen is the most powerful piece not because of her crown, but because of her range of motion. And they'd just given me 8.5 hours of unrestricted movement. I hit call. Time to show them what happens when you corner someone who's got nothing left to lose and everything to gain. Time to remind them that relationships aren't assets on a balance sheet. They're choices people make every single day. And today, I was giving 6 people a new choice. 4:31 p.m. Call 1, James Martinez, Nexus Communications. Ava, finally, what the hell is going on over there? James's voice boomed through my phone. No pleasantries. That's what I loved about him. James, I need you to listen carefully. I have about 60 seconds before this becomes complicated. I kept my voice steady, professional. I'm no longer with VentureWave. As of this morning. Silence. Then, those idiots fired you? They're transitioning your account to Melissa Quinn. You should have received that incompetent pitch? Yeah, I got it. She literally sent me your deck from last month but somehow made it worse. Added clip art. Ava, clip art. I almost laughed. James, you have a termination clause in your contract. Section 14.3. If your primary account rep changes without your consent, I can walk without penalty. He finished. I had my lawyer review it when you sent it over. Thought you were being paranoid. I need to be transparent. I'm starting my own consultancy, Lock Strategic. I can't solicit you while I'm still technically employed, but when's your access cut? Midnight. I'll send termination notice to VentureWave at 12:01. Send me your new contract at 12:02. 5:45 p.m. Meeting 2. Sarah Williams, Bloom Cosmetics. Sarah insisted on meeting in person. 30 minutes to downtown Austin, but her assistant had sounded panicked when she called. I found her in the lobby of the Four Seasons, manicured nails tapping against her phone. Ava, thank God, she didn't wait for me to sit. This Melissa person sent me a campaign proposal that would literally destroy our brand. She wants to partner us with influencers who tested positive for drugs last month. Did no one check? I pulled out my legal pad. Sarah, what I'm about to tell you. VentureWave fired you, I know. Marcus called an hour ago spinning some bullshit about fresh perspectives. You know what's fresh? The lawsuit I'll file if they tank my holiday campaign. You have options. Your contract, Section 14.3, already flagged it. She leaned forward. I don't care about VentureWave. Ava, I care about who's going to save my Q4. Can you? I slid across a single page. Lock Strategic's capabilities, printed on paper I'd bought myself. Starting midnight. She signed it before I finished talking. 7:15 p.m. Video call 3. David Park, Pinnacle Tech. David's face filled my laptop screen, his usual developer hoodie replaced by a suit. Board meeting day. Ava, I have exactly 10 minutes before I present. Please tell me you're calling to fix whatever just happened. David, I'm no longer. With Venture Wave, I know. Melissa CC'd me on an internal email by mistake. Something about managing client expectations during the transition. You know what manages my expectations? Results. Which you deliver and she doesn't. The embarrassment of being discussed like freight stung fresh. I'm starting my own firm. When? Officially, tomorrow. Send me the paperwork. I'll have legal review it tonight. He paused. Ava, they're idiots. You know that, right? 8:22 p.m. Call 4, Rita Johal, Fusion Dynamics. Ava, honey, are you okay? Rita's voice was warm, concerned. We'd known each other for 5 years, since before Venture Wave. When I was just starting out, and she took a chance on an unknown. I'm processing. Rita, I need to tell you. That Venture Wave let you go? Marcus called, gave me some speech about organizational changes. I asked him point blank if he knew your middle name. He couldn't answer. You've been managing my account for 3 years, and he doesn't even know your middle name. It's Marie. I know, sweetheart. I also know you have that scar on your palm from helping my daughter build her science project. I know you worked through pneumonia to launch our rebrand. I know you're the only reason I stayed with that soulless agency. My throat tightened. I'm starting my own company. Good. Send me whatever I need to sign. And Ava, make sure you charge them what you're worth this time. 9:30 p.m. Call 5, Michael Torres, Apex Retail. Michael picked up on the first ring. Tell me you're not really leaving. News travels fast. Melissa sent a transition email. Spelled my name wrong. 3 times. Different ways. His dry tone carried across the line. I'm assuming this isn't your choice? No, but starting my own firm is. Ava, I'm going to be direct. I have a board breathing down my neck about digital transformation. I have a CMO who doesn't understand why we can't just make things go viral. The only reason I haven't jumped off this building is because you actually deliver miracles. I don't care what logo is on your business card. Can you still deliver miracles? More efficiently without corporate bureaucracy. Send me the contract. And Ava, charge me the corporate rate. I want those assholes to see exactly how much revenue just walked out their door. 10:47 p.m. Call 6, Linda Zhang. Quantum Health. 1 hour and 13 minutes left. My throat was raw from talking, my hand cramped from notes. Linda was my smallest client by revenue, but biggest by impact. Her healthcare innovations saved lives. Linda, I know it's late. It's never too late when it's you. Ava. Her slight accent softened the words. I heard about this morning. Disgraceful. I wanted to discuss your options regarding account management. Options? There are no options. You think I trust anyone else with my baby? This company is my life's work. You're the only one who understands that. She paused. When do you start your new venture? How did you? Because I know you. You don't quit. You rebuild. Send me the details. And Ava? That campaign strategy you pitched last month? The one Marcus said was too ambitious. I want to do it. All of it. With you. 11:53 p.m. 6 calls, 6 conversations. 6 contracts verbally agreed to. Pending formal termination notices to Venture Wave at 12:01 a.m. My voice was gone. My hand was shaking, but my mind was crystal clear. $13.2 million in annual revenue. Ready to walk out the door with me. I opened my laptop one last time. 7 minutes until midnight. 7 minutes left of access to the system that had consumed 3 years of my life. I could download files, forward emails, take anything I wanted in these final moments. Instead, I opened a blank email. Addressed to Marcus, CC to Melissa and the entire leadership team. Subject line, Transition update. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. So many things I wanted to say. So many ways to burn it all down. But sometimes the most devastating message is the simplest one. I typed 5 words. You fired your future. I just took your present. No hard feelings. A. Lockwood. 11:59 p.m. I hit send. 12:00 a.m. My screen went black. Access terminated. 12:01 a.m. My personal phone exploded with text notifications. 6 termination notices sent simultaneously to VentureWave's legal department. 12:02 a.m. 6 contracts for Lock Strategic Consulting, LLC, executed electronically. I closed my laptop and sat in the darkness of my apartment. Somewhere across Austin, phones were ringing, emails were being flagged urgent. Someone was about to have a very bad morning, but not me. For the first time in 3 years, I was exactly where I belonged, in control of my own future. 12:03 a.m., the final message. My fingers trembled as I stared at the blank screen of my personal laptop. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the air conditioner and the distant sound of Austin's nightlife. 6 contracts signed, 6 clients secured, 6 pieces of VentureWave's foundation removed in 6 hours. But I wasn't done. I pulled up Gmail one more time. The draft I'd written earlier sat there, waiting. My final communication to VentureWave. I'd revised it 17 times throughout the night, each version more scorching than the last. Paragraphs detailing their incompetence, screenshots of Melissa's plagiarism, a comprehensive breakdown of every labor law they'd probably violated. But as I sat there in the dark, my grandmother's pearls catching the laptop's glow from where they lay on the coffee table, I realized something. The best revenge isn't a manifesto, it's a mirror. I deleted everything and started fresh. 2. Marcus Chen. CEO CC, Melissa Quinn, Leadership Team, Legal Department Subject, Strategic Discussion, Ava. Time, 12:03 a.m. Marcus. Thank you for this morning's conversation. You were right, it wasn't easy to hear. I want to ensure a smooth transition, so I'm providing notice that 6 of your enterprise clients have exercised their contractual right to terminate their agreements with VentureWave, effective immediately. As you'll recall from my repeated recommendations, I insisted on including Section 14.3 in these contracts to protect client interests and ensure service continuity. The irony isn't lost on me. These clients have independently chosen to engage Lock Strategic Consulting for their marketing needs. I'm sure Melissa will have no trouble replacing $13.2 million in annual recurring revenue with her innovative approach to strategic thinking. The clip art alone should open doors. I've attached a copy of the termination notices for your records. You'll find everything in order, unlike the Southwest expansion strategy currently sitting in your executive drive with Melissa's name on it. Page 47 still has my initials in the footer. You might want to fix that before the board presentation. As for cultural fit, you are absolutely right. I don't fit into a culture where excellence is punished, innovation is stolen, and loyalty is a one-way street. Thank you for the clarity. My grandmother used to say, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. This morning, you showed me exactly who VentureWave is. Tonight, I'm showing you who I am. A person who documents everything. A person who reads contracts. A person who builds relationships that transcend corporate logos. A person you should never have underestimated. I wish VentureWave all the best in its future endeavors. Based on today's strategic decisions, you'll need it. Regards. Ava Lockwood, founder and CEO, Lock Strategic Consulting, LLC P.S. You fired your future. I just took your present. No hard feelings. 12:04. Am I hit send and watch the message disappear into the digital ether. No recall option on personal email. No taking it back. No corporate IT to save them from what was coming. My phone immediately lit up with a call from an unknown number. Then another. Then another. I let them all go to voicemail, watching the notifications pile up like a beautiful disaster. LinkedIn showed 17 new messages. My email dinged with red receipts. Someone at VentureWave was awake and panicking. Good. I poured myself the last of the Macallan, the bottle I'd thought would celebrate my promotion. Instead, it was toasting something better. My liberation. The whiskey tasted like vindication with notes of fuck you and hints of karmic justice. 12.17. A text from a number I recognized, Hannah from HR. Ava, we need to discuss this situation immediately. Please call me back. I screenshotted it and archived it. My lawyer would love that. HR contacting me on my personal phone after termination. Another text, this time from Marcus himself. This is extremely unprofessional. We need to talk. Unprofessional. That's what he was going with. Not illegal or breach of contract. Because we both knew it wasn't. Every move I'd made was carefully within my rights. Every client contact happened after my employment ended. Every decision was theirs to make. I'd beaten them at their own game, using their own rules. 12:45 a.m. The adrenaline was finally wearing off, leaving me exhausted but oddly at peace. I sat on my apartment's small balcony, Austin's skyline glittering below. Somewhere in one of those buildings, VentureWave's leadership was having an emergency meeting, running damage control, trying to figure out how one person had dismantled 3/4 of their revenue stream in 6 hours. They'd probably call lawyers, run the numbers, point fingers at each other. Melissa would claim she had no idea the clients were flight risks. Marcus would blame the legal team for the contracts. Hannah would scramble to show she'd followed proper termination procedures. None of them would admit the truth. They'd killed the golden goose because she refused to pretend their shit was shinola. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Rita. Honey, I just saw your email to those idiots. Savage. Proud of you. Get some sleep. Tomorrow, we build an empire. Tomorrow, in 8 hours, I'd wake up unemployed for the first time in a decade. No corporate benefits, no steady paycheck, no safety net except the one I'd woven myself in the last 6 hours. I'd also wake up with 6 clients who chose me over convenience, with a business built on actual relationships instead of corporate politics, with the kind of purpose that comes from betting everything on yourself and winning. They'd fired me during my promotion call, thinking they were ending my story. Instead, they'd written the perfect beginning. I raised my glass to the Austin skyline, to VentureWave's gleaming offices, to Melissa's LinkedIn profile that would need serious updating come morning. No hard feelings, I whispered to the night air, and finished my drink. The glass was empty, but I'd never felt so full. 1 week later, Tuesday, 11-15. I was sitting in my favorite coffee shop on South Congress. Laptop open, working on Bloom Cosmetics' holiday campaign when my phone buzzed. Unknown number, Austin area code. I'd been getting a lot of those lately, recruiters, competitors, curious industry folks who'd heard about the VentureWave exodus. I almost didn't answer. Ava Lockwood. Ava, it's Jason Brennan, from VentureWave IT. I remembered Jason. Quiet guy, always helpful. The only person who'd actually fixed my login issues without making me restart 3 times first. Hey Jason, what's up? His voice dropped to barely above a whisper. I probably shouldn't be calling you, but... Christ, Ava, it's a bloodbath over here. I thought you should know what's happening. I closed my laptop, giving him my full attention. I'm listening. After your email hit, Marcus called an all-hands at 1 a.m. Half the leadership team showed up in pajamas. They've been in crisis mode ever since. He paused, and I heard a door close in the background. They lost $12 million in contracts. Ava, not just your 6 clients. When word got out, 3 more pulled out citing concerns about strategic leadership. $12 million. I'd aimed for 6 and hit 12. The coffee suddenly tasted sweeter. But here's the thing, Jason continued, his words tumbling out faster. Melissa's under investigation. Legal found out she'd been passing off other people's work for months, not just yours. Remember Brad from the Chicago office? That innovation framework she presented in January? The The predictive analytics model from Q2, stolen from a junior analyst who quit right after. I wasn't surprised, but vindication still felt good. What about Marcus? Board's furious. Apparently, several major investors are asking why the company's top performer was terminated without cause while retaining someone who committed intellectual property theft. The phrase, fiduciary negligence, keeps getting thrown around. And Melissa? Suspended pending investigation. But get this, she tried to blame you. Said you must have sabotaged the client relationships before leaving. Until legal pointed out that all 6 termination notices cited her incompetence specifically. Linda Zhang apparently wrote a 2-page attachment detailing every way Melissa had already fucked up the transition. I smiled, remembering Linda's text from earlier. I may have been thorough in my feedback to VentureWave. There's more, Jason said. They're trying to stop you. Legal's been combing through your employment agreement, looking for any violation. Marcus even suggested they sue for client poaching. But the lawyers shut that down fast. Turns out you documented everything perfectly. Every client conversation happened after midnight. Every contract was initiated by them. You're bulletproof. I learned from the best corporate sharks, I said. Turns out paying attention during those compliance trainings paid off. Ava. Jason hesitated. I'm putting in my notice tomorrow. This whole thing, it opened a lot of eyes. If they could do that to you, none of us are safe. Half the tech team's already interviewing elsewhere. The whole Austin office is imploding. After we hung up, I sat back and processed what I'd heard. I'd expected fallout, but not a complete meltdown, not an exodus, not Melissa finally facing consequences for what had apparently been a pattern of theft. Another call came in. This time, I recognized the number. Sarah Williams. Ava, I just got off the most incredible call. Remember that influencer disaster Melissa pitched? Well, Marcus personally called to try to win me back. He offered a 30% discount and promised to handle my account himself. She laughed, bright and sharp. I told him I don't work with companies that fire their best people and promote plagiarists. Then I hung up on him. God, that felt good. Sarah, you didn't have to. Yes, I did. You know what he said when I asked why you were terminated? He stuttered through some bullshit about strategic alignment, couldn't even lie convincingly. Pathetic. After Sarah, the calls kept coming. Rita, telling me about VentureWave's desperate retention offers. David, laughing about the premium transition package they'd proposed. James, forwarding me an email where Marcus had CC'd the entire board while begging for a meeting. By 2 p.m., I'd heard enough. VentureWave wasn't just losing revenue, they were losing credibility. The story was spreading through Austin's tech scene like wildfire. How they'd fired their top performer, how she'd legally taken the clients who wanted to follow, how their house of cards had collapsed in less than a week. I thought about responding to Marcus's increasingly frantic emails, thought about taking his calls, thought about rubbing salt in the wound I'd created. Instead, I blocked his number, then Melissa's, then VentureWave's main line. One by one, I severed the last digital threads connecting me to that place. Each block felt like cutting anchors, letting myself drift free. My laptop dinged with a new email. Subject: Quantum Health Q4 campaign. Approved budget? Linda had increased the budget by 40%. Her note was simple. This is what you're worth when you're not being undervalued. Let's change healthcare together. I stared at the number. In 1 week, I'd gone from being fired to running a company with over $15 million in projected annual revenue. 3 more clients had reached out, interested in Lock Strategic Services. My calendar was booked solid with new business pitches. VentureWave was burning, but I wasn't even watching the flames anymore. I was too busy building something better from the ashes they'd created. The barista refilled my coffee, nodding at my screen full of campaign strategies and budget projections. Working hard? No, I said, surprising myself with the honesty. For the first time in 3 years, I'm just working. No politics, no bullshit, no stolen ideas, just work. She smiled and moved on. I turned back to my laptop, to my clients, to my future. somewhere across town. VentureWave was learning what happens when you mistake a phoenix for a pigeon. But that wasn't my problem anymore. I had an empire to build. 6 months later, Austin, Texas. The moving truck pulled away from my downtown apartment just as the sun painted the Texas sky in shades of amber and rose. I stood on the sidewalk, cardboard coffee cup in hand, watching my old life disappear around the corner. Inside, the space that had witnessed my darkest professional moment was now empty, ready for someone else's story. My phone buzzed. Rita, sending pictures from the ribbon cutting at her new Dallas facility, a project we'd executed flawlessly, on time and under budget. Something VentureWave had deemed too ambitious when I'd pitched it last year. Locke Strategic Consulting now operated from a real office in the Frostbank Tower, 14th floor, corner suite, with a view of the Colorado River. I'd hired 3 employees, all refugees from VentureWave's continued implosion. We had 18 clients and a waiting list. I tucked the phone away and headed to my favorite coffee shop one last time. The barista, Emma, I'd learned, already had my order ready. "Big day?" she asked, nodding at the moving truck disappearing into traffic. "New chapter," I said. "Upgraded from the apartment to a house in Tarrytown. Turns out betting on yourself pays well." She grinned. "Good for you." "Oh, someone left this for you earlier." She handed me an envelope with my name on it, no return address. I opened it as I walked to my car. Inside, a single sheet of VentureWave letterhead, stolen, probably, since the company had filed for bankruptcy 2 months ago. The handwriting was Melissa's. "Ava, I know you hate me. You have every right to. I stole from you. From others. I was desperate to succeed and chose the worst possible way. VentureWave is gone. My career is over. No one will hire me. But I wanted you to know. Watching you walk away with everything forced me to face who I'd become. I'm in therapy now, trying to be better. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. And congratulations. You earned everything. Melissa." I stood by my car, reading it twice. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated. Another part just felt empty. Melissa had learned the hard way what I'd figured out that night 6 months ago. Success built on someone else's foundation always crumbles. I left the letter on a bench and drove to the new house. 3 bedrooms, home office, yard big enough for the dog I was picking up next week. The American dream, rebuilt from the ashes of corporate betrayal. My laptop was already set up in the office. On the wall, framed, hung the email I'd sent Marcus that night, not out of spite, but as a reminder. Next to it, my grandmother's pearls in a shadow box, old wisdom and new beginnings, side by side. I had a video call at 3 with a Fortune 500 company. They'd reached out after hearing about the VentureWave 6, what the Austin business community had dubbed my midnight client acquisition. Tomorrow, I was speaking at UT's business school about entrepreneurship born from adversity. But first, I had one last ritual to complete. I pulled up LinkedIn, searched for Marcus. His profile showed seeking new opportunities for the past 4 months. 3 connections in common. I clicked into VentureWave's company page. This page is no longer active. 63 employees, 12 million in revenue, 15 years of operation, gone. All because they couldn't see value when it sat right in front of them. All because they thought loyalty was a one-way street. All because they fired me during my promotion call. I closed the laptop and walked through my new house. Sun streamed through windows I'd purchased with revenue from clients who chose relationships over corporations. In the kitchen, a bottle of champagne waited. The good stuff. Not the Macallan I'd drowned my sorrows in 6 months ago. Tonight, Rita and James were coming over. Sarah was flying in from New York. David promised to bring his infamous homemade kimchi. Linda was zooming in from her conference in Switzerland. Even Jason, now my head of operations, would be here. My clients had become my friends. My crisis had become my catalyst. My firing had become my foundation. I popped the champagne and poured a glass. Raised it to the empty room, to the journey, to every person who'd ever been underestimated by someone in a corner office. They fired me during my promotion call, I said aloud, the words no longer bitter but triumphant. So I took 6 clients in 6 hours. The bubbles tickled my nose as I took a sip, then added the truth that had carried me through. And now, I'm just getting started. The doorbell rang, my new life calling. I set down the glass and went to answer it, leaving the past where it belonged, behind me. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's building something so much better that revenge becomes irrelevant. It's proving that they didn't fire you. They freed you. And freedom, I'd learned, tastes a hell of a lot better than any promotion they could have offered. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from. Drop a comment below and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Have you ever faced a similar situation at work? How did you handle it? Your stories inspire me to keep sharing these narratives. Until next time, remember, sometimes the worst moments lead to the best beginnings.